and Depot Streets. Truck boy entry
5. Dude, are you gonna do anything? Chill, dude. I got this. Okay, this game, dude. Rip you, dude. What's up, guys? So today, we're not going to talk about CGI, we're not going to talk about landmines. This time, we're talking about violent video games. So, the other day I was at the San Jose Museum of Art and I saw this sketch by Leon Gilmore called Let the Living Rise. It's a raw, emotional sketch of a vulnerably naked man amidst a field of deathly craniums begging for his life from the incoming waves of flames. It's a beautifully symbolic depiction of the violences of war upon the human race. You see, conflict and violence has become a standard in the video game industry, with game franchises that relish in violence. With video games that relish in violence leading the way, like PUBG.
Oh my god.
Fortnite.
Are you serious right now?
Halo.
Come on, man.
The Last
Where'd
of
you even
Us.
come from, dude? Where'd you even come from?
And Call of Duty.
Boys, let's get out of here. Come on, man. The one time I don't die. Are you serious?
Oh my dude, you just got pranked!
With video games being played more and more by younger generations, these games end up in the hands of children, and I bet most parents will argue that they make children more violent in nature. Is that true though? How do violent video games affect young minds? Well, according to a report from the Eric Digest, and yes, all citations will be in the description in proper MLA format for you picky people over there. The report had two important experiments that provide observations of change in child behavior. Calvert and Tan study and Funk and Buchman. So Calvert and Tan were able to find that boys in apparently violent video games don't affect girls the same way. Boys who had played the aggressive game compared to those who had played the non-aggressive game displayed more verbal and physical aggression towards inanimate objects and playmates. Funk and Buchman were able to find that children were spending more time playing video games than socially interacting. Another interesting post, actually from the Washington Post, called "Virtual Reality Prepares Soldiers for Real War," discusses the military's use of violent video games, specifically Army favorites Halo, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, Ghost Recon, and SOCOM, meant to prepare soldiers for the brutal realities of war, as well as keep their senses and reflexes quick and efficient. A defense consultant in the article stated, "Remember the days of the old Sparta when everything they did was towards war. In many ways, the soldiers of this video game generation have replicated that, and that's something to think about."
Spartans! What is your profession?
Playing video games. If violent video games seem fit to train military combatants, then I'm pretty sure most parents wouldn't want their kids playing them. But why rely on reports and articles? Why not just ask an ex-pro gamer? Oh, This 20-year-old's name is Sean Lim. On occasion, he goes by his professional game name, Showtime. When he was a kid, at least 96 hours of the week would go into his passions for making fully functional Lego weapons, showing off his new airsoft gear.
Killer on Watercard new channel. This is the CQB loadout.
And sniping heads off in his favorite franchise, Call of Duty. As he grew older, his practice paid off and his passion became employment. He began playing Call of Duty Ghosts professionally and was even sponsored. He has one nice gaming reputation behind him, but does he think violent video games have a negative or positive effect on children? I needed to find out. So, we had our decoy, a 20-year-old male actor posing as a 17-year-old white blonde female, reach out to Sean via Facebook. And boy, he took the bait quicker than his quick-scoping skills. They've been in contact for about a week now, and Sean did not shy away from sending her conservative photos of himself and his cat. Now, he thinks he's about to meet an underage blonde female at the San Jose State Library. Little does he know, Showtime is on my show. Hi, I'm Mike Hansen with Dateline NBC. Why don't you take a seat?
Okay.
So, what are you doing here?
I live here.
That's interesting. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
For about a week now, you've been texting a girl named Jess. When she asked you what games you used to play professionally for, you responded, Ghost, a Call of Duty game. Knowing this, do you think violent video games have a negative or positive effect on the minds of children?
I don't. It's because there's a disconnect between what happens in game and what happens in real life. Even the most unstable of angry gamers don't have serial killer tendencies.
Well, how do you think violent video games have affected you personally?
They haven't in any way changed my behaviors, but they've helped me understand firearm use.
In any way? No change in personality? No change in language filter? Or increase in violent tendencies?
Language filter would be the most affected.
Affected how?
I use profanity at a higher rate than most, but I still have control over my words.
Even this, you don't see as a negative effect of violent video games?
No, of course not, because I still know right from wrong.
If violent video games, as you say, aren't a negative thing, do you see them as a positive thing?
Child's minds are a little bit more impressionable, so it will be a case-by-case situation. It's not positive or negative, it's more neutral.
So you do believe that violent video games affect the minds of children. But do you think it affected you?
Not me, but it could happen. It's subjective, I think.
Well, what do you have to say for yourself?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't got all day for this. I have class in 15 minutes.
Free to go.
Go, 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 go.
Get your hands up! Get your hands back!
Darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly...
After being placed in custody, Sean Showtime Lim did tell my camera crew that, in fact, he was affected by violent video games. He was affected in 3 ways: socially, physically, and psychologically. Violent video games gave him a platform to make friends. A good thing, I think. But it also made him lack an attention span. Physically, he ended up having impaired hearing because he played his games at a tremendously loud volume. He also mentioned something about eye floaters, a consequence of staring at a screen for too long. I assume he means this.
Jesus Christ.
But they also taught him to think, act, and react in tremendously quick speeds. Okay, so sure, there are negative effects to children playing violent video games, but sometimes we don't realize that there are positives too. In fact, a scientific report from the University of Rochester agrees with the positive effects that Sean got from playing violent video games. Action video game training may therefore prove to be a helpful training regimen for providing a marked increase in speed of information processing to individuals with slower than normal speed of processing, such as the elderly or victims of brain trauma. In other words, violent video games are more useful than we think. In fact, that's exactly what James G. Paul's book, What Video Games Have to Teach Us About Learning and Literacy, talks about. In this respect, games may be better sites for preparing workers in modern workplaces than traditional schools. Why? Well, video games are necessary in that it hones our senses and allows us a virtual sandbox to practice and master our skills. These skills which are then translated into the modern world. But none of this matters unless we understand the minds of a parent. The only effects they usually care about are the negative aspects. You tell me why. Because being a parent always means negative is greater than positive. Sometimes parents think in generalizations. That's the point of ESRB ratings. ESRB ratings are generalized video game ratings and allow parents to know and understand what is appropriate for their children to play. It functions the same way that movie ratings do. It starts with rated E for everyone.
You're too slow!
And then there's T for teen. Then there's rated M games. The bloodiest of the bloody and the goriest of the gore. It was you who released the dragon upon me, wasn't it? Thanks, man. Our government inputted this system as a means of guidance. So, are violent video games good or bad for kids? Both and neither. Although violent video games have both negative and positive attributes, there is no correct answer. Violent video games have different effects on different people. The answer lies within the parent's guidance. Teaching wrong from right. Sure, violent video games make children think more violently, but it's the job of the parent to intercede. And with that, we can conclude...
Ranger! We are not finished!
Stay in school, kids.